motivation, meditation, inspiration. If it's not one of the three, I don't want it. So let's go ahead and get started looking at some stories here about how we can utilize focus. So when we look inside of ourselves, we start to identify with the fact that the level of focus comes from the place inside of yourself where you're able to utilize yourself as a tool. So when we start utilizing this universe as a tool, that's when the blessings of this universe start to come to us. So the question that we have to ask ourselves is, if it's not about motivation, if it's not about meditation, if it's not about inspiration, what is it? And so when we start to look at that, we start to see that if it's not one of the three, that ultimately we don't want it, and that's why I say that we don't want it. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the focus and the story that I have for today. And so the story that I have for today is that when we recognize the tools that we have available to us in this universe, it makes it much easier for us to be able to utilize them. Now, one of these tools happens to be focus. So the question is, how can we utilize focus so that we can start getting the reflection to shine out from within ourselves? And then we start to look at what's actually going on around us. We start to see that it comes down to the level of focus. Now, if we look inside of ourselves and we start to utilize the tools that we have, ultimately we get to see that it comes down to our level of absorption. So recognizing that when we use the reflection of our focus, what we're ultimately doing is becoming motivation. So I was speaking to somebody yesterday and they were saying to me, oh, you mean focus is the knowledge. And ultimately, a lot of people are trying to feed you stuff, but they're actually not trying to utilize this universe to actually use it. And one of those ways in which I recognize that I am is like a knife. So you have a fork and you have a spoon. But if you need to cut something, then if you don't have that tool to cut it with, then there's no purpose. So in other words, you might be able to eat with a fork, you might be able to spoon feed yourself with a spoon, but if you need a knife, if you actually need a knife, you need that place inside. And my purpose is to get that place of focus where the reflection shines outwards, where what everyone else is feeding you gives you the ability to utilize it to extract the exact level of focus inside of yourself where you get down to you versus you. So how can we start to utilize focus to the point where we reflect out as motivation? Well, we find that a lot of motivational speakers are trying to feed you with spoons and forks, and ultimately what we need are knives. Well, what we have inside of ourselves is tools. So when we utilize the absorption and we utilize it inside of ourselves, we find that it is us versus ourselves ultimately. So ask yourself if you're actually utilizing the tools inside of yourself properly so that you can extract the universal energy in such a way that the reflection shines outwards from within who you are. Now, another place is putting yourself in more than one angle so you can utilize those tools. So in other words, there are more than one type of knife, right? So if we're going to cut one type of bread, we're going to have a serrated knife, where if we cut an orange, we might want to have a knife with a sharp edge. So recognizing and utilizing the tools of this universe give you the ability to create that kind of friction in this universe that reflects outwards from within yourself. This reflection from that level of focus outwards is what we call motivation. So in other words, when you see somebody studying, when you see somebody on top of their grind, when you see them in their place where what is reflecting outwards is motivation, then what we are recognizing is that they're hitting the place in this universe where it is creating that kind of torque. So if we're using these type of tools such as focus, if we're putting ourselves in that place where what comes out is the reflection, then what do we have the ability to absorb focus? So that's why I'm saying let other people call you strong. Let others call you focused. Let others call you motivation. Look inside of yourself to see if that is a place inside of you. Start to ask yourself those types of questions. Am I focused? If you are not focused on your tasks, if you do not have goals in front of yourself to achieve, if you do not have places where you plan to go, then start writing them down. One of those ways that I've recognized this is as I was going with my brother, we were looking at the story of how things are happening, and we were in a place where we started to break down hunters and gatherers. Back in the day, they used to have it where there was a difference between that, and there were certain people who gathered and there were certain people who hunted. So normally when a person focuses to that point, they either hit the limitation or they go beyond it and break through the walls. Now, as we focus to that point where what we're utilizing is a place beyond gathering, that's when we start to get to the place of hunting. When we utilize this universe in that way, ultimately those people start to become a reflection, and this reflection starts to identify as motivation. So recognizing that you have these kind of tools inside of yourself gives you the ability to untwist what others might twist. When you say to yourself that it is you versus you, when you get to the place where the reason this didn't happen is because I didn't focus to this level, when you get to the place where there's no one else to blame but yourself to get to that place, we get to that level of growth inside of you, ultimately what shines out is the reflection. So we also need to utilize the tools in such a way that we can adapt our tools so that the universe can utilize us. Because as we create the torque in this universe, that's when other people start to identify with your level of focus. So in other words, the universe utilizes the torque that comes from your level of focus and creates the reflection that others identify with as motivation. So when you recognize that inside of yourself, when you put yourself in that place where what shines comes from within you, when you say to yourself, it is you versus you, when you get to that level of grind where literally you have the ability to absorb focus and reflect motivation, reflect strength, where other people see you like that, when they see that kind of life inside of you, where the reflection shines from within who you are, then what they are ultimately identifying with is the ability to gain that level to hunt. When you're in that place where you're no longer limited, where you're in that place where you can bypass it with your level of thought process, where you have the choice to get to that thought inside of yourself, where it creates a reflection. When you recognize that you have that ability inside of yourself, that you can focus to that point, then what ultimately shines out from within you is a reflection of your level of focus. And in that place, that's when you see the top end artists. That's when you see the top end writers. That's when you see these people. And the reason why is because they've bypassed the spoon and the fork. They've hit the place where focus actually is. Focus is what gives us the ability to get the inwards absorption. When we get to that place where we focus, we get to overcome the challenges that we face off against, that we no longer have a disabled mentality, but what reflects outwards comes from within who we are. When that reflection shines outwards from within ourselves, then ultimately what is identified is the reflection on the outside. And that is when other people will call you motivation. That's when other people will call you a reflection of your level of focus. So this universe gives us tools. One of these tools happens to the ability to write stuff down. Another one of these tools is the ability to read stuff. Also to study other people that have hit those places where focus is a part of who they are. When we recognize that we have these ability to utilize these tools, and we use the tools that we do have the ability to utilize, this universe gives us the ability to use those tools in such a way that you will create torque in this universe. When you create that type of torque, when you give yourself that place where the reflection shines outwards from within who you are, that's when other people will call you motivation. You don't need to call yourself motivation. In other words, you don't need to look to be motivated. You look to be focused. You look to be a reflection of that level of focus within yourself with your level of absorption. This means it's you versus you. It doesn't mean it's you versus 20 people, the whole entire sports team, the whole entire NBA. You see, inside of yourself, you see the people that got to that point where no matter what other people did, they were going to still grind on their story. When you put yourself in that place where you have that connection with yourself, where when you're in that place, what shines outwards from within you is a reflection. And when you have the ability to speak motivation, that is a tool. When you have the ability to write, that is a tool. When you have the ability to read, that is a tool. When you have the ability to put yourself in a place where you create good habits, those are tools. That is your level of focus. In other words, when we elevate ourselves to those places, when we bypass those things and we get to the place where our thought process is controlled by our level of focus, that's what I'm talking about. In other words, you have the ability to manifest that torque in this universe. You have that place inside of yourself that will reflect outwards from within who you are. When you see that is inside of you, when you put yourself in that place where that reflection shines outwards from within who you are, then ultimately what is happening is the reflection is what this universe is connecting with, you see. So in other words, the level of focus this universe will test. It will see if your tool is strong enough to take it. It will see if you have that level of focus. Do you want it that bad? Do you want to be in that place where this universe can utilize you? And if the question is asked in such a way that you understand yourself, that you understand that what comes out from within you is a reflection, if you can get to that place inside of yourself where you versus you, and others see that, then the tools that you have will be utilized. The tools that you have inside of yourself come out as a reflection. So recognize you have that ability inside of you. It's there for you to use. It's called focus. It is something so special inside of each of you. You all have the ability. The tools are all around you. The ability to utilize those tools are to do things. And when you do things, do them best you can. Put yourself in a place where you utilize it. And I'm not talking about just the biggest things. I'm talking about the smallest things. I'm talking about being a good brother. I'm talking about being a good sister, mother, father, daughter. I'm talking about being the best us that we can be with the challenges that we face off against on a daily basis. So when we recognize that we have this ability inside of ourselves, when we can get to that place of focus, when we can overcome the challenges that we face off against, that we can utilize this universe in such a way that we can cut through it, then we're utilizing the knife in this universe. And that is my purpose. My purpose is to be a knife, not a spoon, not a fork, but a knife. When you recognize this, you see that you have it within yourselves when you get to that place of focus. So how can we use the tools that we have? Well, if you have the ability to write stuff down, then every single day, write stuff down. If you have the ability to listen to things such as motivation, such as this, the ability to shine out as the reflection of level of focus, then ultimately what you're utilizing is your level of focus. That is how you start to connect with those levels to make changes. Others is the ability to read. If you can sit down and start to pull up positive content, you can utilize that as a tool in this universe. So each individual tool is very important. Each tool that we use in our tool bag, which is called you, gives you the ability to gain in this world. And I don't mean in any specific way, I mean in every way. So we have multiple tools in this world, and they come down to your level of focus. How well you can focus is what comes out from within yourself. Many different motivation in this universe, people that have hit levels of focus, have gotten to that place where what shows outwards is a reflection. In other words, this universe can utilize you, and that reflection can shine out in multiple ways. So when you get to that place inside of yourself where you utilize your level of focus, this universe will test your level of torque to see if you really got what you want. So when we go past those types of things, so I was just asked what my thoughts are about this, and I'm going to go ahead and answer that. So I was just asked about the Floyd, what I thought about it. Now, I want you to put yourself as this person. I want you to recognize that you have learned the lessons inside of yourself. You have hit the place of focus inside of yourself. So if that was you that lost your own breath, then it wouldn't matter what other people would say. That was not a positive force in the universe. It was not right that that happened. What I mean by this is there's no such thing as right or wrong or good or bad. There is only positive and negative energy in the universe. So in other words, what happened goes along with Newton's third law of motion. For each action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So the answer isn't to really fight other people about that, because that creates negativity in this world. The actual answer is to look at what happened so that it doesn't happen again, so that your brother doesn't lose their life, your sister doesn't lose their life. How can we take the situation that happened and focus to the point where we can bypass the emotion to get to the place where we can actually start to make positive things come from this? So, see, I'm in a place where what is not positive, what does not actually happen in that way, moves out of the way, okay? I utilize Newton's third law of motion, which is the way that Oprah Winfrey became Oprah Winfrey. Her mantra was the law of riches. I mean, the Newton's third law of motion. My mantra is the law of riches. So, in other words, take out all of those other things and a life was still lost. So, in other words, that was a negative force in this universe. So we have to identify that and utilize it in a positive way. Fighting each other will not do that. Putting a barrier between ourselves does not bring positivity out. You do not fight negativity with more negativity. The way that you utilize it is you create positivity. You get to the level of focus to how we can actually make sure that this type of thing does not happen again. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Utilize the negative force in such a way that it becomes a positive. That this is something to happen so that we can grow together. We can get to that place of strength when we hit that level of focus. That's why I said I am not here to spoon feed. I'm here to get to the place where we are the knife, where your level of focus inside of yourself is you versus you. When you identify with yourself on that page, when you get to that place where you could see past all of that stuff, that it no longer affects you, then we have the ability to create those kind of ripples. And that place is using technology inside of ourselves to identify with universal law, such as Newton's third law of motion. So when we utilize that in a positive way, when we put focus into a place, when we put our habits into that place, and we put ourselves in that way, this universe has the ability to take situations such as that and to turn them into a positive. And that is what my thought on that is. My thought is that this was a negative force in the universe, and that there has to be a place where people can recognize that we can turn this into a positive so that we can continue moving in a positive direction. That is how we get to a place where we get a reflection of strength. So recognize that the challenges that we face off against on a daily basis, they're meant to test you. That torque in the universe is what you're talking about. When we utilize it in such a way that we turn it to a positive, that we don't allow it to affect us, that's how we overcome those types of things. That is the type of strength inside of who we are. When we hit that place where what matters is our level of focus, our ability to get to that place where we connect it to that level, where we utilize the tools in the universe. So what I'm saying is, we have the ability to take the time right now, and this time, this exact place where we are, to utilize that in a positive way, to put out positive notes, to bring people to a place where we can connect at a focused level, to get logical to the point where the thought process, the internal focus becomes a reflection on the outside. So in other words, what I'm saying happened was a positive thing, because now it gives the ability for them to utilize that in a positive direction. It's ultimately up to them to how they utilize it. But what I'm saying is we have it inside of ourselves. You all are beautiful because you have the ability to focus. Can we bypass the emotion? Can we get to the place where the emotion is of the past and we utilize the ability to focus, to bypass these things so we can elevate ourselves altogether, so we can ultimately see that kind of strength within yourselves? Recognizing that this is a level of growth. This is a place inside of ourselves where we get the absorption of our focus and the reflection shines out from within who we are. I'm telling you, you have that strength inside of you to overcome these types of challenges. And if there's a question about a level of answer there, it is to take that and turn it into a positive. Utilize it to take it positive. Look for the positive outcome here. Look at how this had to happen so that positivity can be brought to it, so that we can actually utilize to identify it, to utilize Newton's third law of motion in such a way that the reflection can shine out from within us. This is a time for us to utilize these types of things to connect on a positive level, to put ourselves where focus is a place to be, where we actually don't allow negative things to affect us in our growth. And ultimately, that's what people see as strength. That's what I'm talking about, the reflection. So when you ask that question, I definitely wanted to answer that. And the person who had actually asked that question was off of Periscope, Vixonics. You asked that question, and so the answer is positive, positive, positive. Utilize the positive force in the universe from your level of focus. Give yourself the ability to get into that place where you can recognize that you are important, where you can recognize that what you have inside of yourself is focus. This is what I am. I am a knife in this universe. I will get straight directly down to the point. I will go past the stories of this side and that side, because ultimately it's you versus you. It's me versus me. And so I'm grateful you asked that question. Anybody else who has those types of questions, I am definitely here for you. I want you to recognize that the challenges that you face off against, you can overcome. That I have a network of community, which is motivation, meditation, inspiration.yoga. I would highly recommend that anybody has questions, wants to overcome things, connect with me. I have my Facebook and my Instagram, my YouTube connected there. It's also that you can actually see inside of yourself that you can overcome the challenges that you face off against from your level of focus. So as I continue to communicate about focus, I want you to recognize that you can utilize those tools. You could put yourself in that way that you change your universe around you. And I don't mean you change. I mean the universe around you utilizes the tools within yourself so that you are where you are. Because I believe that we are all like rock, and that rock is chiseled, and even there is within you that level of focus. It is you to see that, to get to that place, to take on those tasks, to put those tasks in front of yourselves and to start achieving those tasks so that you can become a reflection. That is what other people will see. And I'm telling you, with this thing that happened, it is a place of positivity. That's how we take stuff. We flip it from negative to positive. We put it in such a way that we find the positive route. We find the positivity here. When we look for that, we start to see there's much positivity that actually happened out of this situation. And so when we bypass that and we elevate ourselves where there's no excuses, we put ourselves in a place where we own up to ourselves to be ourselves, then ultimately what we start to become is a reflection of motivation. And I'm telling you, you got that inside of yourself. You got the ability to get it. You can get it done inside of you because the reflection shines outwards from your level of focus. So when you see that inside of yourself, that's when other people will call you strong. That's when all the people will call you motivation. And it's not to just be motivation, it's also to study motivation. Utilize that level of focus to where other people are breaking through walls. When they're actually going through walls and they're overcoming challenges like, for instance, the SpaceX. The ability to overcome that type of challenge for us all to work together in such a way that we can utilize the tools that we have. So it's never about what you don't have. And that's why it's not about you versus somebody else. And the thing that they're trying to do is connect it with all these others, but recognize it's each individual, okay? And I don't look at this side or that side. I look directly me versus me, you versus you. Everything else, I don't know about that. I don't even want to know about that, okay? You know why I don't want to know about that? Because you know what? It's you versus you. You have to take care ultimately of yourself inside, and the reflection will shine outwards. So are you putting down the things? Are you putting those things in such a way that those tasks, those things are becoming that? As you can see, I'm definitely ripped. And I'm ripped because I put myself in a level of focus where I overcame it with the ability to put the diet in place. I put the diet in place, I put the breathing in place, I've put the things in place so that I could achieve those tasks from within. So recognize that you can take things, you can take and turn Newton's third law in motion into favor for you. You can utilize those types of things where you give more than you receive, that this universe has the ability to give you more. The universe, the more that you give, you receive more. When you see these type of laws working in your life and you feel like you are on that path, you start to help people to bring themselves up. I'm telling you, that's my purpose. I'm not here to be a fork or a spoon to spoon feed you. I'm here to tell you it is you versus you. And that place, that thing, let's see how focused we are. Let's see if we can get there together. Let's get to the ability where we're writing stuff down, where we're shining, where our companions and the people that are around us are seeing us, and those family members and those people that see who you are inside is seeing the reflection of your level of focus. And I'm telling you, they will identify with you as a reflection of strong. They will identify with you as a victor, ability to overcome the challenges, to become a hunter. I'm talking to all those people that feel like they're tied up, that they have that position where they're in that place where they just cannot do nothing. I'm telling you, it starts to come down to how you make your bed every day. As you can see here, my bed is made. Okay? So it's, in other words, it's getting down to making sure that the first thing you drink every single day is a shake, or putting in the positivity to a place where you utilize things like lemons. I'm talking to the person inside of ourselves. I'm talking to me. I'm talking to you. I'm helping to see that this universe is a great place for us to live. And so the answer to that question is focus, focus, focus. Let's become a motivation. Let's utilize this as the reflection that shines on the outside is motivation. Let's go ahead and bring it as a connection to the point where we get all of ourselves to a collective focus where we elevate past it, where we can utilize it so that things like that don't happen again. We can take this stuff and make it a positive. I'm telling you, we can overcome these types of challenges. But we got to get to the place where it's you versus you and there's no poor me or poor her. Because you know what? The only person who's going to be hard on you is you. And if you ask yourself that question, then there's no thought of, am I motivation? When that gets thrown out and the place of focus is put in place, then ultimately the reflection is that ability. And I'm telling you, we can reflect past these types of things. We can get to the point where these challenges that we face off against are a place of reflection. And I want you to see that you have that ability inside of yourself, and you have the tools that are available to you to utilize on a daily basis. I'm telling you, I'm not a fork, I'm not a spoon, I am a knife. And in this universe, I am a place of focus. See that inside of yourselves. See that place inside of who you are. Look around you And when you listen to my stuff, recognize as your day goes on, am I focused? Am I a place where I get to that level of focus, where I get that absorption going on, where what is ultimately other people see is the reflection? Can they see this painting as a reflection outwards? Can they see this strength? Can they see this level of focus? That I'm going to bypass it, that I'm going to put myself in a place of positivity, where I'm not going to listen to bad and negative things that are not good or bad, but ultimately negative. Am I going to put myself in that place when you versus you starts to work in your favor, where this universe starts to utilize you as a tool? And if you see this and you feel like you are not there yet, I'm telling you, these tools are available to you. You can listen to YouTube videos instead of listening to music. You can put yourself in a place where you are writing stuff down. You can put yourself in a place where you are reading, where you are organizing your day to the point where you elevate yourself, where you have the ability to focus and utilize it at that level. Now I'm going to start talking about the second part, meditation. So when we get to a place where we recognize that we have able mentalities, that we have the ability to put ourselves in that place where we can utilize things for positivity, we put ourselves in a place where we have the ability to start going inwards. When we connect with that breath, with our level of focus, then it starts to break down inside of ourselves in such a way that we utilize the energy fields inside of ourselves. So your level of focus helps you to extract the lessons inside of who you are. In other words, the more you breathe in, connecting that to your absorption with your focus gives you the ability to get into the study of yourself. So when you start to study yourself, that's when you start to gain the knowledge inside of yourself that your breath was there at every moment of everything that you went through. So if you can connect your internal with your level of focus, then you have a able mentality. When you have a able mentality, what happens is you can start going inwards. Now, when you connect yourself with you, when you get to that place where the inside becomes a place of study, when you utilize that inwards breath in such a way that you can start to break down the lessons inside of yourself, now you start to recognize that you can actually start extracting knowledge with your best friend. Now, as you read the book of you, you'll start to break down into sections like, am I standing my ground in my day? Am I putting myself in a place where I can have the types of thoughts that I want to have? Am I utilizing my understanding of the world in such a way that the relation, the upper and lower heart, is working? Am I voicing myself? Am I giving myself the ability to utilize myself as my best friend? Can I see the depth perception when I'm taking a walk, or I'm crawling, or I'm sleeping? Am I putting myself in such a way that I wake up and I utilize tools like reading, like writing, like the ability to speak, the ability to utilize any tools that you physically have, even hearing, even the ability to feel things? Are you putting yourself in those types of places? So if you start to recognize that the inwards journey is very important, when you start to get to that connection with your breath and your level of focus, then you have the ability to get down to the original seed of knowledge. Each individual energy field inside of our bodies breaks down this way. So knowledge is like mass and energy is interchangeable. The theory of relativity. And I'm proving that the theory of relativity, that science is actually able to be working within us. Mass and energy are interchangeable sources. So you can utilize your inwards breath from your level of focus to extract the knowledge inside of yourself to become the reflection on the outside. This means that you can become the student inside the classroom of you. So when you start to have that able mentality, you start to get down to those places inside of yourself to start facing off with the person that you are inside. That's why I say it's you versus you. So when we put ourselves inside the classroom of us, when we give ourselves that ability to gain that reflection, ultimately the knowledge becomes a reflection on the outside. The more we study the art of ourselves, This is when people start to call us meditation. That's when the inner knowledge lights up within you. That's when people call you a inner light. In other words, enlightened. So the person who can study the inner self becomes a light, and that light reflects outwards, and that light shines from within you, and that has that ability. There are features that can be turned on. One of those features happens to be blushing. That is a trait of the ability to glow. That is a place inside of ourselves that we can actually reach. We can actually reach these places because we have the ability to find the knowledge inside of ourselves. One such place that I overcame was the first time I did a nirvanic jump. When I did that, I ended up going back to when I had asthma when I was younger. 20 years had passed, almost plus, and I went back and faced off against the asthma. Now, the amount of mass that had when I got outside of the sauna was that to the point that I had a runner's blackout. Now, I hit the ground and I split open my eyelid. So this means that I hit a place inside to overcome something within myself, from reflecting to utilize the knowledge inside of myself to go back 20 years. I'm telling you, you can overcome any challenge inside of yourself when it is you versus you. When we get down to the person that we are inside, the reflection shines outwards. We are our best medicine. So when we utilize that, there is not a person on the face of the planet that will not say that you are your best medicine. So in India, there's stories of meditation where they decided their last day on earth. They actually decided that they were going to leave on this day. And you can actually see these types of stories showing even this life is a place of journey. And it is a tunnel, and it is you versus you in that tunnel. When you recognize that, you can gain that kind of knowledge inside of yourself. Hello, Nuva. I'm talking about meditation, the knowledge inside of ourselves, and how it reflects outwards. So I talk about motivation, meditation, and inspiration for 1 hour a day. So I meditate every single day. I've been meditating for 7 years. I've gotten to a place where I am no longer a spoon feed. Okay? There are knives and there are forks in the universe. And that was another Periscope. And I am a knife. I'm not a spoon. I'm not a fork. So what I'm talking about is how you can utilize yourself, how you can utilize the reflection outwards from within who you are, so that the person inside of yourself will shine outwards from the knowledge that you have inside of yourself. I'm telling you, you all have it inside of yourself from that knowledge to reflect outwards. That means there's a first seed, and the second seed is the reflection. So this means that you can trace anything you've ever gone through back to that first knowledge. And that place, you got to that place of focus to gain that knowledge. So that connection puts you as the student inside the classroom, and this is the place of discipline. So recognizing that we have the ability to get to that place of knowledge inside of ourselves, that we get to that place where what reflects outwards comes from within who we are, gives us the ability to free ourselves from the emotions. Because when you get to the place where knowledge is, you elevate yourself past that. Now, a perfect example. If I give a test for a first grader to a first grader, they're going to have difficulty with the test, wouldn't you say? If I give that same test to a 12th grader, they're going to blow it out of the water. And the reason why they're going to be able to blow it out of the water like it's nothing is because they've gained that level of knowledge and had that level of reflection to where that is not a challenge anymore to them. So in other words, we can utilize that kind of analytical thought process to be able to analyze the situation, to get to that level of focus to where it reflects outwards inside of ourselves, which means that we can overcome these things such as emotion, because emotion is a choice. So when we recognize that the first seed was the first learning, we also have to be honest with ourselves so that we can reflect outwards with that knowledge inside of who we are. We see this inside of ourselves. That's when the connection between focus and knowledge puts you into the classroom of you. And this classroom is a place of discipline. When we utilize knowledge and focus together, this universe can utilize you as a knife in this universe. And so that's why I'm telling you, I'm a knife, not a spoon or a fork. So when we see that, when we get to that place where we bypass the challenges that we have, when we can overcome them, then we can actually get to that place where we become disciplined, utilizing the knowledge and focus inside of ourselves to the point where we are disciplined. The connection between the two is called discipline. So when we hit that place where what shines outwards is your knowledge and your focus, ultimately what happens is that reflection is the intersection between knowledge and focus, because discipline is knowledge and focus. So when those connections happen, what we are looking at is called inspiration. So this means that your knowledge and your focus create a tool in this universe. This tool creates ripples. As this tool creates ripples, that is when other people call you inspiration. So let yourself call you disciplined, knowledge, and focus. Give yourself that ability to overcome those challenges so that what others see is your connection with this universe, that you are utilizing the tools in this universe, where your knowledge and your focus inside of yourself is at such a place that you are disciplined, that the reflection shines out from within who you are. When you see that inside of yourself, when you see that place of growth, when you hit that place where what shines outwards comes from within yourself, that is when you have utilized inspiration. And when you're there, you better hit that pedal to the metal. You better put it in such a way that you utilize that knowledge and that focus so this universe can utilize your level of torque to bring things to this world that give us all the ability to have those type of ripples. We have seen those types of people over and over and over again who have had the ability to get to that level of connection with the things that they do. Get to that level of discipline where what comes out is a reflection, where they're known as the best in the world. And those special people have come because their level of knowledge and focus with a connection to what they do have, and being able to utilize a able thought process to the point where that reflection shines out, and there is where other people call them inspiration, because they're connecting their level of focus with their knowledge inside of themselves to utilize themselves to do those types of things. This means you can become the best artist. This means you can become the best singer, the best writer, the best employee. Where you have to identify with yourself in such a way that you recognize that you are the only one you can compare yourself to, because nobody else will be hard on you unless you are hard on yourself. The only person who's going to be hard on you is you. You got to see that it's you versus you. And when you see that and you give yourself that ability to overcome those type of challenges, when that place reflects outwards from within who you are, then that is when you start to see motivation, meditation as a reflection of that intersection of discipline to the point where you are a inspiration. So I want to connect with you on that level. I want you to see those type of ripples inside of yourself. I want you to have that left and right connection, that center connection with yourself, where the connection gets to the level of discipline. I want you all to join me on motivation, meditation, inspiration. Subscribe to my different networks. Get connected. Get out there. All one word: motivation, meditation, inspiration .yoga. So I want you to see you got it inside of yourself. I want you to start hearing this. I want you to start listening to motivational speakers. I want to start see your lights shining. I want you to share your stories of how I've had the ability to affect you. I want you to see that you are strong, that other people will call you strong. I want others to call you knowledge. I want others to see that light that's inside of you all, that capable, that able mentalities, that ability to get to the level of focus where the reflection shines outwards from within who you are. I want you to see yourself there. I want you to see this universe is a place for you and me that we can treat every day like it's a blessing. We can put ourselves where this universe can utilize the Most High in such a way that we can become blessed. I absolutely want you all to become blessed. I want to inspire you to see that you can get to that place of discipline, that you can overcome those tasks. You can utilize the things that you do have. And it's never about what you don't have. It's always about what you do have and what you do with what you got. I'm talking strut your stuff. I'm talking to you about putting yourself out there, giving yourself that place where you have a able mentality, giving yourself that place where you can connect your level of knowledge and focus. I'm telling you that every task, everything that you've ever been through is there for you to grow. It's there for you to gain that knowledge inside of yourself, to extract it, to understand the stories, the challenges, the things that you've been through. They can shine outwards as a reflection. I'm telling you, you got it inside of you. I'm telling you, you have that ability. And more than anything, I'm telling you, can be that duck in that pond. And what happens when you create those type of ripples, that will put ripples in other people. And sometimes the ripples that we leave behind from our knowledge and our level of focus, from our place of discipline, hits a place where this universe has the ability to utilize you and me and everybody as a tool. We use our tools that we have. We become that best artist. We become that best painter. We become that best singer. We become that best speaker, that best writer, that best. When we put ourselves where we take on a task at a time, when we put ourselves in a place where we get down to true focus, the less the more, okay? The less challenges you face off against, the more you have the ability to overcome each individual challenge. And each individual place becomes a place, and it starts to become a habit, and that habit becomes a place called discipline. When we utilize discipline, we have the ability to get to the intersection known as inspiration. And so I'm telling you, you have seen story after story after story of people spoon feeding this stuff, but I'm a knife. I'm there to cut straight through this universe. I'm there to say, let's do this. Let's get to the level of focus. Let's get to the place of knowledge. Let's get to the place of reflection. And let's shine outwards from within who we are. Let's get to that place inside of ourselves where ultimately we are the reflection of what is inside of us. When we give ourselves the ability to become liberated from our knowledge and our focus to create those type of ripples, I'm talking about a universe for you and me. I'm talking about you overcoming these type of challenges where the light shines out of you, where when you're around, people start to understand there's something different. When you're around, people start to see something so great that the reflection is what they identify with. What is going on inside of you is the true grind, you versus you. And this world brings riches to you. This world gives you the ability to see that you got it. And I'm telling you, you all got this. You got the ability to get that knowledge, that focus to that place of connection inside of you. That this is a discipline. This is the discipline. This is the classroom. And what shines out from your level of discipline is called inspiration. So when you connect your knowledge and your focus inside of yourself to the point where the reflection shines outwards from within yourself, that's when you have the ability to become a universal ripple. And you all have that since the day you were brought here, since the day you've had this ability. You have the ability to create ripples. You have the ability for this universe to utilize you in a positive way, to utilize the positivity inside of yourself. The reflection will shine outwards from within who you are. And I'm telling you, you have it. You can do this. You can be a tool in this universe. This universe can utilize your torque from your ability, from the knowledge inside of who you are. If you could get to the place of focus and knowledge, to get to that connection, to get to that place where you utilize what you got. And I'm telling you, you can overcome challenges. You can do things that other people would say are mentally impossible. because impossible is just a word. I'm talking about a world of elevation. I'm talking about a place where at a time people looked in Star Trek and they said they saw a cell phone, but they didn't get the knowledge because they didn't want to have the focus to the point where they got to the place where they would be. So at that time they didn't focus to that point, and so because they did not focus to that point, it was just a part of a thought process. I'm telling you, you can overcome things. You can manifest your destiny. You can put yourself in such a way that the internal becomes a reflection on the outside. And that gets down to how well you can focus. Can you get yourself to that place where you utilize who you are inside? And I'm telling you, you all have that light. You are all so reflecting out with beauty. You have it inside of yourselves. You have that knowledge, that focus. You have the ability to get to that place where that is called a discipline. You are that discipline. You have that ability to get with that connection and knowledge and focus to get to that place where you put your whole entire being into it. Bruce Lee said this, one of my favorite mentors. He said when he threw a punch, he had to put his whole self into the punch. In other words, he understood that he had to put his focus, his knowledge in the place of the classroom so that the reflection would shine out with such energy that the universe, the ripples within the universe would shine and that they would leave ripples. I want you to see those ripples are inside of you. I want you to see that you can become the best at those challenges that you take on. You can have that ability inside of yourself to overcome those things. And you all have it inside of you. This universe is created in such a way that these tools are there for you to use. And when you use those tools on a daily basis, when you give yourself that ability, then others will start to utilize that. They'll start to see those ripples, and this universe starts to become a little bit brighter place for you and I. When we use those tools in such a way that we take it and we turn into positivity, when people start to identify with you as positivity, when they put you in a place where they have those types of things and you're utilized as that type of tool, that is when this universe can give you things. And I'm telling you, all kinds of tools come to the one who's willing to focus and utilize the knowledge that they have inside of themselves and stop saying him or her or anybody. You got to build that strength inside of yourself, and you got to be the one that's hard on you. You got to be the one that says, let's do this. I got this. I got the ability to get to that level of focus and knowledge inside of myself where the reflection shines outwards from the level of discipline that I have inside myself to liberate myself, to create ripples within the universe to the point where this universe will utilize me as a tool. I want you to see that inside of yourself. I want to see that you can create that kind of a place where the knowledge and focus has the whole entire connection inside of yourself where it becomes inspiration. And those connections are always around us, that ability to connect to that knowledge and focus. That type of thing inside of ourselves is there, and it is all capable. It is all you. It is all you versus you. And you have that light, you have that fire, you have that ability to become something in this universe. It was created for you to utilize. It was created for you to use the things that you do have and not the ones that you don't have, because you got a lot going on inside of you. You got the level of focus, the level of knowledge to get to that place of discipline, and I'm telling you, you can do it. You got this inside of you. So I want you all to hit that level where that knowledge and focus is a inspiration. So write stuff down. Put yourself in a place where the challenges that you face off against, you can overcome. Take on tasks and do them well to the point where others will recognize that you are something in this universe created for these tasks. And that's when this universe has the ability to utilize you. What is a challenge but yet a place of focus? To extract the knowledge inside of myself, to connect the place to discipline, to hit the place where we get to that center between discipline, where we become the reflection. Can we get to that place where we can help others to focus? Most definitely we can, We can get them to the place where they utilize the focus to bypass the challenges that they have, to get to the place inside of themselves where they can connect with their level of knowledge and focus and bypass what others might have said was twisted backwards. Let's go ahead and untwist this. Let's get to the place of beauty as a reflection. I'm telling you, when you get to the place of knowledge, what reflects outwards, what other people call beauty comes from within who we are. That is a ability to get yourself to the place of liberation, and that is the connection. So when you hit that intersection called discipline and knowledge, and it gets to that connection with the whole entire being, to the place where you hit that inspiration, you better take it 150 miles an hour, because when you go through it, you better put that pedal to the metal, so that what is behind you is in the past. We get to that place where we use that knowledge and focus and we utilize ourselves. That is when this technology of who we are is utilized to the point where the reflection shines outwards, and this universe creates ripples in such a way that the pedals that hit the metal have the ability to have the connection with the world in such a way that we have that place inside of ourselves, and others would start to see that. They will see themselves, they'll see you on that fast lane of life in such a way that they have the ability to see you and want to press their pedal. Get them to that place where they press their own pedal for themselves. Get to that place where they help to become uplifted, where you become a force in such a way that the wind is going in your direction. Get that wind going in your direction to the point where it's a positivity, where you utilize this universe, that place inside of yourself, where the reflection shines outwards. Are you hearing what I'm saying? You have the ability to get on the page with you. You have the ability to utilize as the pages of you. You have the ability to see the reflection shines outwards from within who you are. And I'm telling you, when we help each other, we get to the place of law of riches, where it's actually working in our favor, where we know that we are on that lane, where this universe has that place for you and me and for everybody. This world becomes a little bit shinier light when we use what we do have inside, and it shines outwards from within who we are. When we get to that place of discipline, that we create ripples in this universe that are undeniable. I'm telling you, you can become those best workers. You can become those best artists. You can get to that place inside where you go from a gatherer to a hunter. And it's within all of us when we get to that place of knowledge and focus, when we get to that place of liberation. I'm talking about freeing yourself to the point where what is going on is you're not being spoon-fed anymore. And that's why I am not a fork or a spoon. I am a knife. I am focus. I am knowledge. I am discipline. And that shows out as a reflection. And that reflection is inspiration. And I'm telling you, that's what we are. We are a reflection. And this discipline reflects outwards. This discipline is very special. This universe will bend to your thoughts. It will bend to your ability to get to that level of focus. And when others aren't able to do that, and you continue because you know the journey is you versus you, and you get into that dark tunnel and you start to get into that place inside of yourself, recognize the challenges that you face off against. They're there for you to overcome. They're there for you to have the ability to get to that level of reflection where what shines outwards comes from within who you are. And I'm telling you, you have that kind of inspiration inside of yourselves. Create those ripples. Let other people call you inspiration. Let other people call you universal change. Let them be the ones. Get down with yourself. Get down to the place there's no longer an excuse. There's only you versus you. I want you to see that knowledge, that focus, that discipline inside of yourself. That is what ultimately I want to be known for. I want to be known for an inspiration in this universe. I am a reflection of motivation. I am a reflection of meditation. And I am an inspiration in this universe. And I will cut through this universe like a knife. And I will help those who are stuck on those pages where they're getting spoon-fed. Because I'm telling you, there's so many motivational speakers out there that just want to spoon-feed. They actually want to spoon-feed it. They want to give it to you in such a way that the reflection shines outwards for them. And this is for you. This is for you to see inside of yourself. You got this, and you can do this, and you can overcome this. And these types of challenges that you face off against are set there so that you can become that type of reflection. and that is the ability to overcome the challenges that you face off against, that you might be a reflection of inspiration in this universe. This thing was created for you and me and everybody. I do hope that you all have a blessed day as I bypass the 1 hour mark. Blessings, blessings. As always, connect with my group. Get connected so we can elevate ourselves, so you guys can ask me questions. Motivation, meditation, inspiration.yoga. Blessings all, and namaste.